Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Come Alive podcast. I'm so excited to bring this episode to you today because it's super special. Recently, I was invited to speak live on air on Talk 100.3 FM right here in Dubai. And so we were able to get into some real depth of his choice of subject, which was why money can't buy happiness. So for YouTube viewers, enjoy the behind the scenes footage, and for audio listeners, be ready for the full radio experience. Enjoy the show.
On today's show, I have a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, an author, and a coach. And she's somebody who's been born into wealth. And so on today's show, we decided to have her over to talk about how financial wealth and money necessarily cannot bring you happiness, cannot bring you wellness. Mirchandani, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Let's start with your journey. So you were telling me offline that you were born with a silver platter. You were born into wealth. Let's talk about that.
Yes, I was born in a silver platter. I am fortunate about that. I'm grateful for that. And life has been beautiful. However, I think the universe had another plan for me. So up until about 23 years, everything was perfect. I was the princess of my parents' lives and a queen on a throne. As soon as I would say my next transition to life started, where I started my business, I got married, one after the other, I faced challenges. Challenges I had never imagined. Life was beyond my expectation. I didn't know that life could be so challenging because I had never faced it. I was brought up with means, and I always valued that, and I believed that life would be the same throughout my life. However, I didn't see the challenges coming, hence I was not prepared. Lack of preparation, a lot of expectations, everything led to me to actually suffer in my head. I didn't know how to get out. I was a prisoner in my own head, and I didn't know. I didn't know what I was convicted for. I didn't know when was the release date. I could find no way out.
This reminds me of the story of the prince, Siddhartha Gautama.
Yes.
It resonates with that because even he went through so much challenges and suffering, and then now the world knows him as the Buddha.
Yes.
So I want to get into the challenges that you faced in just a moment. But before that, I want to ask you, because you came from wealth, was it easier to get through those challenges?
Not at all.
So you're saying the wealth had nothing to do with getting through those challenges?
There's no correlation.
Super. Let's talk about the challenges now.
So the challenges were my expectations. My expectation of being happy, or rather the beliefs I had created from childhood, watching Disney tales or the Bollywood movies or the chick flicks in Hollywood. Right. They all led me to believe that love is a process that completes us when we love another and they love us back as per our expectations.
That's right. Disney fooled all of us. There's no happily forever. And at this moment can you add value. Yeah. And even Tom Cruise.
Absolutely.
He fooled us in that movie when he said, "You complete me."
I totally agree. So yes, and that is something which shattered as soon as I transitioned into my new life after I got married.
Are you comfortable talking about this relationship, your ex-husband or whatever?
No, it's not an ex-husband.
Okay.
I love my husband and I'm with him.
Okay, so but it was a romantic relationship.
It was, yes, of course, and it was a beautiful marriage and everything was as per planned. It was nothing to do with them, like nobody did anything to me. That's the beauty of life and understanding what I have received now. Nobody did anything to me. It was all made up in my own head.
Correct. So I was just about to say the challenges and struggle was self-created.
Absolutely.
And the point we want to drive home in today's show is that no matter how wealthy you are, you can be dramatic and take that wealth and that privilege for granted and have challenges.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do we also want to give the message that irrespective of whether you're wealthy or not, you shouldn't be dramatizing your challenges?
Absolutely. We are not a victim of anything but our own thinking. And we all are here to face a journey. We all are here on a journey. And we need to understand that. Irrelevant of our bank balance, we are here to face the challenges, rise above the situations, and become a better version of ourselves.
So how did you get into life coaching and helping other people get through their challenges? What was the transition point for you?
So for 13 years, I lived in my head unhappy. In fact, the name of my book is Come Alive, Don't Just Exist. Because I didn't know how dead I was until I came alive. I lived in my own head with my own creation of my problems and my life. All I believed that life is a destination. So when a certain situation will happen, I will be happy. When I receive this award from New York Fashion Week, I will be happy. When my husband loves me and talks to me in a certain way, I will be happy. So I was always living on painkillers. When I received this award, when I could make enough money to buy this car, buy this watch, I was living on painkillers every single time, waiting for the happiness, thinking that it is a destination.
So what shifted?
My journey shifted. There was no destination. It was, of course, there was an aha moment when I started committing to prioritizing myself. It happened through a group of entrepreneurs, which is called the Entrepreneurs Organization, EO. I joined that 9 years ago, and I started learning. And learning gave me the perspectives to understand life from a different point of view.
Beautiful.
And when we have that different point of view, it creates awareness. And that's when everything shifted for me. I started seeing a different point of view and a different way life can be led.
So coming from wealth, was it easier to get into an EO and to hire, say, coaches or go for retreats or do any of the other things that somebody who doesn't have wealth can't afford?
I believe the opportunities always present themselves, be it wealth or no wealth. It's up to you to take it. So it depends if you take it. So actually the opportunity was presented to my husband. One of his friends told him to join EO. He didn't, I did. It was meant for me on my part.
I have some listeners I know and they're thinking now, but if I had the money, I could also start a business and I could be happier. What are your what's your message for them? Because I know, this is a sweet spot between I have money, and they say, right, you'd rather be poor and you'd rather be rich and unhappy than poor and unhappy.
Yes, I've heard that saying, I have. So I want to ask you that if you actually understand what happiness is and what self-love is and what love is. So I have dedicated my entire journey to loving myself, because prioritizing myself, connecting to myself and understanding myself is what gave me that shift in my life to live a life of purpose, meaning and service to myself, of course.
That's right.
So does everybody understand what self-love, love and money is? Do we know the definition? Of course, money we've been taught about. We've been taught about money in school, in business schools. We know that it's something that
and society worships it. So
exactly,
I mean,
it's a means
everywhere.
to buy something. It's transactional. We can invest it, we can grow it. It's a means to an end, kind of. But do we understand what love is? Yes, love can also be transactional, where we believe that somebody will love us and complete us. But do we understand what self-love is? Now, self-love is something we need to create within us. We need to create, it's an infinite loop, I would like to say, and that's what my tattoo says. So that is self-love. When we create it, we receive it and we give it to ourselves.
Sure.
And that's what, if understood, actually helps come closer to happiness.
So how would you answer a detractor who says, if I had money, it's easier for me to have self-love?
I would want them to first have the right definition for both of them.
Let's do it. What is your definition?
My definition of self-love is like an ATM. Like an ATM creates money, we create self-love. So we create love inside of us by connection, by connecting with ourselves, by doing the rituals, whatever pleases you, by prioritizing yourself, your journey, and we create it. We receive it and we give it to ourselves to feel fulfilled, to feel happy. Whereas money is transactional. There's no self-money. So there's no money that you create and you just give it to yourself and you're happy. Because it's always that what can money do to bring you happiness?
Sure.
So there's a big difference between both of it. Again, like I had said before, there's no correlation in my definition. It's very independent and it's very different from each other.
So once they get this definition that you have now shared, you feel the answer to the question, if I had money, it'll be easier for me to have self-love. What would you say to them?
So I have a lot of clients who I speak to, and they actually don't understand self-love for the first few sessions. We have to go through.
But they have money.
They have money. They're my clients. They have money. They have achieved things in life. They have achieved a lot of other things.
So you're the millionaire coach for millionaires.
I wouldn't say that, but I am a coach who has a lot of clients from different means and different walks of life, and I am just happy to contribute to their growth and their journey, and share my experience on how to, and that's what I've done in my book, how to receive self-love and be happy.
Beautiful. Well, we still haven't answered the question. If he didn't have money, of course he can't afford your coaching, then would it be easier with money to find self-love?
Would it be easier with money to find self-love?
Because then he can afford a coach like you, or do the rituals, go for the self-intimacy workshops, do the massages, or whatever it is somebody's idea of self-love is.
So the very fact that somebody is listening to this radio means they are of means, they are in Dubai, they are in UAE. I would start with gratitude. I would start with feeling grateful for, like we say in all the Hindu scriptures or whoever we can refer to, is the very fact that you're listening means you're healthy and you can be grateful. The very fact that you have a smartphone means you're privileged.
Sure.
So I think I think a lot of us are very privileged, and it's all about perspectives and where you want to go from here.
That's beautiful, because you've just touched upon an important point. In Sanskrit, the word is kritagyata, which is gratitude. And you've touched upon the point that just because you don't have money doesn't mean you're not wealthy.
Exactly, so true. And that's what I believe in. It's not about wealth. There's no correlation, as I believe. Because if money could buy happiness, I would probably be the happiest person on this earth. I wouldn't dedicate my life to growing my mission, my purpose. I wouldn't write the book, Come Alive, Don't Just Exist. And I wouldn't be doing so much work to progress my work that focuses on self-love.
And this is interesting, because even Siddhartha Gautama had a conundrum, and he had this, let's say, a radical mind shift change, because everybody said, oh, because you're a king, you can now renounce. But if you didn't have that money, what would you renounce? Even he was asked this question, like I'm asking you, if you didn't have money, can you really find self-love? What are your thoughts on that?
I still feel there is no correlation, because the clients that I get and a lot of talking that I do, I have people from all walks of life, like I said. Some have means, some have more means than the others. But when they come, at the point, they don't come to get more money. They come to find inner peace, self-love, and how to actually fulfill their goals, but at the same time also stay connected to themselves.
So your feeling is that inner peace, self-love, and other goals are not necessarily easier if you have money.
Not at all. I don't think so.
But if you have money, it's easier to get courses and stuff like that for your self-love and inner work.
I feel it's the determination and the intention you put out in the world, and irrelevant of money, you will be able to achieve that. That's what I feel. So when I launched my book, I faced a similar situation. People were skeptical about reading it, and then they were like, why have you written the book? There were questions from friends that, why have you written the book? What is the purpose of the book? But the very fact that I realized what I had missed in life by not evolving or not understanding my journey is what I have written in the book, and it's very open. A friend of mine told me that it's a taboo to speak like this about your personal well-being or your personal mental state. It's a taboo.
Why did this friend say it's a taboo?
Because I have openly and authentically shared how I felt inside my head, that I was a prisoner and nobody could help me.
So obviously this friend wasn't a friend. I hope you got rid of them.
No, I think what he meant is that to come up, to stand up, and culturally, in the culture that I come from, to say that might cause embarrassment to me and my family.
He was praising you.
He was praising me.
Wait, no, you were saying that when you launched the book, people said, oh, you come from wealth, so it's easy for you to launch a book because you can hire a publisher. What did you tell them then?
So I didn't do it for money. My entire proceeds of my book and my coaching goes for charity. I support a few charities in India and Bangladesh and Nepal, and everything goes there, because it's not, for me, it's not about the publicity, it's not about the money, it's not about the finances, it's about speaking the truth and making a difference in the lives of people I meet and touch.
Beautiful. No, I mean, when people asked you, it's easier for you to publish the book because you come from wealth, what was your answer to them?
So I could have used that money to buy myself a diamond ring, right?
Sure.
But I didn't do that, because I wanted to make a difference in the world. And actually that is much more difficult, going outside your comfort zone. writing the book, explaining, coming out, pouring yourself out, and actually becoming naked in front of millions of people. So it's much more difficult. I could have easily bought a diamond ring or a bag or whatever, you know, comes in that amount, but I didn't. I actually stayed away from that and listened to my heart and soul and started my journey, so I could help fellow humans rise above the situation.
What is your advice for, say, authors who have a great book, but they don't have the money to buy a diamond ring or a new bag, and so they don't also have the money to hire a publishing house? What's your advice for them?
So I actually also believe self-publishing works, and it doesn't cost a lot because it's all on the internet.
So there are ways if you want to
Absolutely.
find, is what you're trying to say.
Yes. So my second book is going to be self-published. I have known how to do it, and also in UAE, it's not that difficult anymore. I know how to do the formalities now, and I will self-publish because I rather give that money to charity, like I believe in.
Let's dive into the mind of a Dubai-based millionaire. I want to ask you, how does it feel? Because I know we were just talking now that it's not something you identify with. But obviously when you meet people, especially maybe in your social circles, not on a show like ours, and they kind of bring this prejudice along with them when they meet you. And they have this mask which they see you with, or like a lens through which they see you. What are your thoughts on that?
So the beauty about self-love and journey of evolution is the mask comes out and people see you as you are. Especially after the book, I think people see me as I am. And if they can identify with me, they love to converse with me. And if they can't, they stay away. So I believe the more work you do.
So have you put off a lot of wealthy people after the book?
Absolutely, I feel so. I mean, you know, I'm so focused and driven on my mission that I'm unable to probably have those connections. And it's in my book. Anything that doesn't serve you, you will have to let go of.
Sure. And just to get into the minds of these wealthy people, do you feel there's a slight amount of consciousness revolution happening where more and more wealthy people are thinking, I need to find ways to have self-intimacy and self-love and work on myself because now I've got the wealth. How do I really find the wellness and how do I find the happiness?
Absolutely. Like I said, I have clients from all walks of life. I have chairmen of multinational companies. I have chairmen of homegrown companies. I have executive directors. I have C-suite people. I have clients who work in banks. I mean, I have clients from all walks of life.
Is it easier for you to relate to these clients because you also came from wealth and you have a similar journey, whereas somebody who didn't come from wealth but is still coaching CEOs to find self-love might find it difficult to relate to them? Do you feel you have an added advantage there?
I don't feel it's difficult because I relate on a human level to them. Every human has the same issues, struggles, challenges what another human has. Irrelevant. In fact, I have had clients who were like, I can't believe it, you could have this challenge. I have read your book and I can't believe it, you could have the challenge. And I was like, but I'm human.
That's right.
So the human evolutionary process is the same.
It's
we
true.
have to go through the same challenges.
When people who are not wealthy, financially wealthy, they see rich people, they kind of dehumanize them. And they say, oh, he must be, something extraordinary. And they forget that they have the same skills.
So one of my leasing, so I'm into real estate, and one of my leasing executives, the first thing he told me when he read my book, because the first thing I did is to give my book to my team, and because I wanted them to know who I am exactly and where I come from and why am I leading this company. He told me that the biggest learning for him was that irrelevant of who you are, the challenges are the same.
That's right. That's a beautiful message. Yeah. What is your advice to people who don't have financial wealth? Because obviously they're listening and they're thinking, man, if I had more wealth, then I could find the space and time for self-love. And even in the yogic tradition, we have a saying, that's why it's called Raja Yoga, right? Yoga for the kings, that if you can't figure out your food and your water and your accommodation, then you really can't teach somebody meditation.
So I believe to be grateful, like we touched upon, to be grateful, you don't need money. All you have to do is get up in the morning and be grateful for the breath you take, be grateful for that you are alive. I know Sadhguru says this in a very beautiful speech, that the very fact that you're alive, you have to be grateful today.
Very true, very true. In fact, in the yogic literature, we say with every breath you take in, you hold the nose, and then you realize that you're able to breathe out, and that much amount of thankfulness in every second is needed.
I believe in the same.
When poor people approach you, I mean, I know there are millionaires who are, very kind of empty from inside. And I know really non-financially wealthy people who are really full of self-love and full of vibrance and exuberance. But when poor people come and tell you, I don't have the money and therefore I can't work on self-love, what are your thoughts to them?
So I believe there are different clients I meet from different walks of life. Again, some have more means, some have less means. My message to everybody will be the same, that as long as you're breathing, as long as you can, you are working, you're in the UAE, that's more gratitude.
Or any big city in the world.
Exactly. There's more for you to be grateful for than anything else. And of course, it depends on how you want to evolve. Spiritual evolution doesn't need money. Internal happiness, peace doesn't need money.
So you've just broken the myth now that self-love comes easier when there's money.
Yes.
So self-love doesn't come easier when you have money.
Not at all. It's all the same. It's all the same. We are all here on a human evolutionary platform, and all we have to do is realize and get to where our goal takes us, where our journey takes us, and become aware of all of it.
You know that noise in my head, that voice in my head for the listener who's saying, yeah, but if I had money, I'd be happier. You know, that's still itching to ask you that question, you know. Better be rich and unhappy than poor and unhappy.
So I believe it's your own journey and your own process. So there might be people who focus on that I want to be rich and that's it. But there are people who want to focus on the overall holistic approach of life. So it definitely is on the dispense and the free will of the person. But as per my experience, people with means, all the clients that I have, some have means, some have more means than the others. They are all, what they're looking for is internal happiness, which comes through self-love.
How important is humility and humbleness? Because I know you coming from wealth, you are so down to earth. How important is that? And do other wealthy people in your circle also have a lack of holier than thou kind of a attitude?
So I'm human, and I identify with everybody on the human level. I can't speak for everybody, but what I can say is that we have to make sure we're in touch with our human side, and this life is not about money or acquiring wealth, because we are not going to be taking anything with us. That is for sure in every culture. We cannot take anything in the next life. So to be kind, to be empathetic. I'm an empathetic leader. I lead with love. I treat all my employees like my team members, like my family members. I love them like I love my children. And my journey sets me to speak about self-love and love. So like I mentioned, every client that I get, or every client that engages me, they are coming for internal happiness, irrelevant of their bank balance. What they are looking for today is internal happiness. And the very fact that they are talking to me is that they have started their evolution, and they know that money cannot buy them that.
So let's give some practical tips for rich people in the terms of monetarily, and non-rich people to actually be on this journey of self-love.
What has really helped me is meditation. I think the power of meditation is still untapped, and I think we haven't spoken enough about it. Though collectively we all speak about it, we haven't spoken enough. My life changed the day I started meditating. You become more you. Things become clear. Your performance increasing like 4x, I would say. So meditation is number one, which you can do irrelevant of where you are, who you are, and what you are.
Great. And then what else?
Journaling, that's another means, and there's a lot of reflections, I believe. Journaling helps you reflect on many things, and besides that, even reflections otherwise. There's also repetition. Repetition actually helps us reprogram the subconscious mind, and hence everything we do has to be consistent. What is not told enough is also consistency is key.
Sure.
Whatever you start, you must complete, and you must do it. It's like taking a shower. Every time you take a shower, you will feel clean. Hence, every time you do your morning routine, you will feel connected. But the day you don't do it, you will feel unclean.
What other tips do you offer clients who come to you?
So I offer a lot of reflection.
Let's do it.
I offer them to look into themselves for ego, expectations, detachment, because these are the things which we don't.
Let's approach all of these one by one.
Sure. I have also put up a podcast recently of faith versus fear, that faith and fear do not coexist. What often happens is we live in faith, and then if something shakes us, we go back to fear. So how to actually understand both, and how to understand that when you live in faith, fear cannot come close to you. And that's a practice, that's a mental practice of thoughts, of letting go of thoughts, and also of rechanneling those thoughts to come and give you the faith you require.
In the yogic system, though, we have something called bhakti yoga, which is faith and devotion. In the tantric system, we have no faith. So in tantra, it's all about experiencing, and it's more experiential. Like the way I tell my students is, if you put your finger in fire, it burns. You no longer have to have faith or belief that it's hot, because you've experienced it. So, and you're so right, faith and fear don't go together, because once you've experienced it, you don't need to have the fear. You don't need to have the faith either.
Yes, I agree. And expectations. I think we all live in so much expectations.
And why is it wrong to have expectations?
I would say because expectations are your expectations. It has nothing to do with something else. It's a personal, internal process. And there is no reason for someone else to live up to your expectations, because they don't even know what your expectations are, frankly speaking.
Sure.
So it's a disconnect. And that's what actually makes people suffer, or makes you suffer, because we are expecting without the opposition knowing what are we expecting from them. And it happens in all relationships.
Absolutely. And that's why it leads to disappointment.
Yes.
Because that lack of communication of that expectation leads to something called lack of function, and then the relationship becomes dysfunctional.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you covered ego, you covered expectations. What else?
No, ego I didn't.
Okay, let's do ego.
So ego is very, very dynamic. I'm actually reading a book called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and he talks about ego on all fronts. What my understanding of ego is the identification. The very fact that I thought that my husband didn't love me for who I was all ego. So that was my realization in my relationship. As soon as I was able to work on ego, he started loving me the way I wanted to.
I love the way you still portray yourself as a work in progress. And this is brilliant for any coach, to really go to the depth and understand that you're still learning. And we're all still learning. And that's why I always stay away from people who say, I know everything.
It can't be. We are here on an evolutionary path, and we are learning every single day. And the more we learn, the better we become. And it is our journey to be a better version of ourselves every single day. And we could never say that we know it all, because there is so much. I think in Hindu scriptures also they say there's so much. It's more than the seas of the world or the oceans of the world. So how can we absorb it and get it in ourselves? We can only do the best we can.
That's what I tell people. I say knowledge is not limitless. Knowledge is limited. Ignorance is limitless, because what we don't know that we don't know far supersedes what collectively we all know.
Absolutely.
I ask all my guests this question. What was the worst advice you ever got?
That's a good one. The worst advice I ever got was, I don't remember it, frankly speaking.
Okay, what's the best advice you got?
To prioritize yourself and think about yourself and work on yourself.
Beautiful. What has been your biggest failure? What did you learn from it?
My biggest failure, I don't take it as failure, because I take it a lot of learnings.
Sure.
So I had to close my fashion business because it was not where I wanted it to be. And it was my biggest blessing, because I'm here today because of that.
Who are the 3 people in your life who have been most influential for this transformation for you?
3 people influential. I think it is the Entrepreneurs Organization. Collectively, it greatly helped me. It would be my best friend.
Do you want to shout out?
Yeah, my best friend Yogesh Sajnani. Thank you for everything. And my husband. He's a blessing in disguise.
Beautiful. And what do you wish you'd known 10 years ago or 13 years ago?
I wish I had known when I was born that this life is an evolutionary process, and we are not here to take a walk in the park, but we are here to evolve our soul every single day.
Beautiful. For your great-grandchildren, what's the wisdom you'd like to pass on?
Love yourself first, so you can love the world limitlessly.
I like that you said that without flinching. Daily routines. Name something that you do every single day without fail.
Meditate. I don't leave the house without meditation.
Beautiful. I call this pursuit of relaxation. What are your thoughts on happiness?
We can create it. It has to be created. It's an infinite loop inside of us, comes through self-love.
And I call this shipwreck. If you had to be shipwrecked on a deserted island, but all your human needs like food and water were taken care of, what 2 items would you want to have with you?
My mobile, because there's everything on it. I could record podcasts, I could read books.
Okay, if you have
and,
internet connection there, okay.
Yes.
And number 2?
I think I would just meditate.
Okay, so the second item, something to take along.
Something to take along? Can't think of anything.
Okay, I call this Stress Buster. 5 ways or tips that you have to get rid of stress.
Gratitude list. So I journal my gratitude list, meditate, listen music, write. Write is journaling too. Dance.
Beautiful movement. And I call this wear Anjaan's footwear. If you could step into my footwear, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't?
What is your mission and your purpose?
What is your mission and your purpose?
To serve humanity through a better understanding of self-love is my mission, and I will serve it till I die, and I will do it with all authenticity.
And how are you doing that?
I'm doing it through coaching. I'm doing it through my website, through my podcasts, through personal conversations like these, like we're just having. And I feel like a military officer sometimes, with my utmost mission being to help alleviate pain in fellow humans through self-love, and I will do it till I die.
Beautiful. Now, since we have established that money can't buy you self-love or even wellness, let's talk about the process of self-love.
So it's definitely a process. When I started my journey, I didn't know it was a process. Like we discussed about ego, expectations, it's all a process. So let me explain to you my process. The process of self-love involves you to first know yourself. It's exactly like the connection with another, like a friend or a partner. You have to spend time to know yourself, to understand who you actually are. So the first meeting in the day should be with yourself. The second is understanding your beliefs, understanding your subconscious, understanding your limitations. Then it's letting go of everything that doesn't serve you, and allow yourself to let go of things. Allow yourself to let go of activities, people, things, anything that doesn't serve you. Beliefs, of course, thoughts. Once you've let go of all that, then you can actually emerge as a lover of yourself. So it's a process. Be patient, love yourself throughout the process. There will be times you'll want to give up, like we all do at different instances, but do not give up. You can do it. I am with you. Reach out to me at any point for any kind of guidance, and I will be there.
That's right. So this forum is also an open doors forum. That's why we call it Talk Wellness. You can find Meher or me on Instagram. They look for Meher Mirchandani, right?
Correct.
And we're happy to really help you in any way you want. Doors are open. So this self-love process, right? Why do many people not start it?
Because of lack of awareness, like you mentioned, ignorance. We don't know. I didn't know. So I have a spiritual master, and I have been going to the temple since years, but did I actually bother to understand what it takes to understand yourself, what it takes to connect with yourself? What I didn't do is meditate. In my spiritual journey, they asked me to meditate 1 hour a day. Did I do that up until the age of 35? No, I didn't. I only started later, and that's when I started understanding my purpose, my mission, my journey. So, so the whole point that everything is a process, and you need to discover yourself through the process, so trust the process.
We started our conversation talking about the challenges you're facing. Let's also wind down with that and talk about the personal challenges you're facing and you've faced, and how you're getting over it, how you've had the resilience to get over all these challenges.
So one of my biggest learnings has been to get outside the comfort zone. We are always so protected and shelled, or rather the women in the society, we are shelled, we are protected, and we are not able to get outside our comfort zone. A comfort zone is a psychological zone that we create because we are happy with the routine, we are happy with where we are. But life lies beyond your comfort zone. And this is again, I think, underestimated. The day I got to know this, I started challenging myself. It's definitely not easy for me to create my podcast. It was not easy to write a book. Oh my God, I was so outside my comfort zone. I had tears, I had cries. I was like, why do I need to do this? But trust me, life lies beyond your comfort zone. I'm not a social person. Even in fashion, it was very difficult for me to face camera, to talk, to be here with you, Anjaan, is something I'm not very comfortable with, but it needs to be done. And every time you do something, you grow. You grow into who you are meant to be. And
it also becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because now you're doing it, so you automatically send the messages to your neurons that you're capable of doing it, and then it becomes like, oh, I can do this. Why do I have this fear?
You're building
or anxiety?
muscle. Like we go to the gym, today you can carry 2 kgs, in 6 months you'll carry 20. Everything is like that. at the first you fear it, but when you come close to it, you start understanding it, you start developing a relationship, you start developing the muscle to do it more, and eventually it gets you to who you are meant to be.
So you're doing a very good job, and you seem like a natural. So don't worry about it seeming like you're not in your comfort zone. Let's talk about other challenges you've faced, maybe with family or parenting.
I believe that when you're not in connection with yourself, when you're not authentic to yourself, you're not being able to relate to anybody else. And that's what happened when my twins were born. I was not sure if I would be a good parent. I was very, very fearful, because that was actually the start of my journey. I still didn't know myself. I was not reading. I was not journaling. I was not connected to myself. I didn't meditate that time when they were born. They're going to be 10 next month. So my journey only started about, I would say, 7 years ago. So all I felt was fear when they were born, because I didn't know if I would be a good mother. I didn't know if I could raise them the way I wanted them to be raised, because I was suffering in my head. And of course, they were one of the catalysts for me to transform, because I definitely wanted them to have a mother to look up to.
That's right.
So that really also made me come out of my comfort zone, and also face my denial. Like, we all have some sorts of denial in life that, oh no, I'm perfect, I'm happy, everything is fine. I also went beyond and looked at what am I in denial of, and that helped me grow.
So let's give some practical ideas for people to get out of their comfort zone. What do you feel they should do?
They can do something like dancing. I mean, if you love to dance and you haven't tried dancing, book a studio, dance. I mean, put it on your phone and just dance, right?
I would to get people out of their comfort zone, because if they like dancing, then dancing is easy, So what are some things that people can do which is beyond their comfort zone?
But some people like dancing, like my sister-in-law, and she never dances. So there are things you like to do, like you would like to write, but you are not able to move.
Is that then the comfort zone? Because if you like it, it's easy for you to do it.
I have met clients who love to do things and they're not able to do it.
And why is that?
Because maybe they have this some self-limiting beliefs, or that their comfort zone doesn't allow them to do that thing.
Let's dive into that. So how does somebody get rid of these self-limiting beliefs?
By doing it, by facing your fears, like they say.
So you're saying action is the key?
Action is the key, yes, definitely.
Great. Before we let you go, what's your final advice for everybody who's listening?
Discover yourself, love yourself, feel free to put out anything you want in the universe, and it will come back to you tenfolds. Be connected to yourself. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or any of my profiles, Mirchandani, and I will be more than happy to give you some guidance, coach you, and try to get you to your horizon.
What's next for you?
My second book, which talks about love and leadership.
What's it called?
The theme is love and leadership. I don't have the final
Let's
name
brainstorm
yet.
a name.
Oh, okay, that's wonderful.
What do you have in mind?
So it's about how I lead with self-love. Because I was able to love myself, I'm able to show the path to all my C-suite and to all my team, to how they can love themselves, connect with themselves, and actually lead with love in our organization.
How about the loving leader?
I love that.
I wonder if it's already taken, though. We'll have to research on that. Okay, so when's the book coming out? In a few months?
By the end of the year.
Amazing. And what else besides the book? What's next for you?
The podcasts, getting the podcasts to longer lengths. Right now I have podcasts between 7 to 9 minutes. I want to get podcasts to longer lengths. I want to get some guests on the podcast as well. I want to write my second book, like I said. I'm also doing the next level of my coaching. I want to complete that this year.
Beautiful. Now, if you had one motto or quotation that you read every day, or you've written it down somewhere that you want to share, what would that be?
You're not a victim of anything but your own thinking. So get up, do the work. You are responsible for your own happiness. Nobody else will come and give you anything.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being with us on this edition of Talk Wellness.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful. And
letting everybody know that just because you're rich and just because you have money doesn't mean you can have self-love or happiness or wellness.
Not at all. I'm an example of that. So it has no correlation.
Prioritize on your wellness and your happiness.
Yes.
And then the money will come. If you add value to the world, they will give you money.
It follows. Create self-love. It's like an ATM inside of you. The more you create it, the more you will feel it, the more you will get it. So
Beautiful.
Live in love, and you will be able to spread love too.
Meher, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. So I hope you enjoyed the show with Anjaan. I loved being there and covering that subject area. If you did, you know what to do. YouTube viewers, please give us a subscribe and like. And audio listeners, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast and Spotify. I look forward to us speaking again on the next episode. Lots of love.